Well, hello. Sorry it's kind of late tonight. It took me forever to do this. I've been working on this case for quite a while, and there's so much information because it's been like almost 5 years that this has been going on. And so I had to go through and review some stuff, and I got a little bit overwhelmed by whenever there's so much information, like trying to figure out where to start. So this is kind of just like an introduction because I know most of you guys who are around now, you joined my channel over the whole Lively versus Wayfair case. So you're probably not super familiar with this conspiracy case that I also covered, that I covered long before Lively and Wayfair. So I thought, let me just start with a brief introduction into things that kind of carry over into like what we talked about with the Lively versus Wayfair case. Aw, I missed you guys too, Gigi. I really do. I miss you guys when I'm away for a while. But it's been a lot lately and not all of it good. So it was kind of like, some things I had to deal with, stuff like that. Hey, Christina, Ancient Teapot. Hey, Jesse. I think I said hey to the other ones that were on early, Donnie and Elsie and Danny. Anyway, so yeah, I missed you guys when we haven't chatted for a while. So this one's kind of going to be, I'm not going to ignore all comments because I know you guys might have questions, but I want to try to stick to my notes just to stay on topic because my head is exploding by this point. And a storm is coming this way in about 40 minutes or so. I've heard some distant thunder already. Oh, you're sweet, Gigi. Distant thunder already. So if we get cut off, it just means A, I lost power, B, flying to Kansas, much in the way of my thumbnail today. I didn't have a lot of time to put to it, but this idea just popped into my head because of what I'll be talking about. That line from Wizard of Oz, where it gets discovered that the wizard is a fraud, and he's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Because we have this situation, this case has been absolutely insane. What they were accused of doing, it looks like it was actually happening, though they have denied, and obstructed, tried to stop discovery as much as they could, pulled every last dirty trick they possibly could, and now it's turning out that plaintiffs were right all along. And it's wild. It's wild. And I put it out there that everybody who's on social media needs to see this, because you're not going to believe what a real bot farm is like and what they are capable of. And I have some videos where one was actually unearthed by these undercover journalists. They worked on it for quite a while. And you will be shocked. Like, my jaw was on the floor. I could not believe what I was even seeing. And it's actually frightening to think, because I know a lot of you, I know, Jesse, you experienced it. We got a lot of troll accounts, especially like on X. I know it was happening on other places like Reddit. But you're going to see where those come from and find out just how dangerous they actually are. And how wrong Blake was when she said that this happened to her, because it most certainly did not. When you see what it's really like, nothing is untraceable, really. There are digital footprints that get left behind everywhere. You'll see how in this case, even though they were obstructed all through the whole thing, they were still able to find these digital footprints and get to the bottom of it. So Blake's claiming that it was all invisible and just disappeared on signal and stuff like that is nonsense. Well, instead of me saying what you're going to see, let me just go ahead and start. So I told you last month that I attended a hearing down in South Carolina, and I told you the case was really important, but the most recent filings are not just important, they're terrifying. I'm not exaggerating when I say that every social media user needs to see this. If you've been trolled on social media while posting about a case that a lot of people are familiar with, a lot of people are talking about, you very well may have been targeted by the company I'm about to show you, or another one like it. We'll get to the video in just a minute. So I'm kind of reading off my notes, and I will look up though. And oh, you've had the tornadoes already. Oh wow, yeah, they're heading my way. You had a touchdown. Alarms for over an hour. Oh, I'm glad you're safe. I am home alone right now, and I have a basement, but I just I just told my family who's checking on me, like I weigh the lesser of two evils. Do I want to go in the basement by myself or brave the tornado? And the tornado is what I usually choose. I do not like to go in the basement by myself. Like, that is so ridiculous. But I'm glad you're, Donnie. That sounds terrible. It's the same storm, because if you look at the map, it goes way up and it's going across west to east like they always do. Oh, yeah, Christina, you're right. You're right. I shouldn't have said that. All right, I'm going to go see family as soon as I finish this live. How's that? Yeah, that was really stupid. I got too relaxed with you guys. Okay, thank you for the reminder. Anyway, so like I said, Blake made a claim that she'd been a victim of a smear campaign. She said that bots were responsible for the shift in online opinions of her. And we waited to see what evidence she would come up with. In the end, she didn't. The judge gave her the longest leash that I've ever seen given in such a case. You should see what these guys have gone through just trying to get evidence of the case that they're working on. But in Blake's case, 107 of us who reported on her case were subpoenaed. As you all know, in what I call the buy one, get 106 free Costco bulk subpoena. And here's a copy of mine that's been cleaned up a little bit. It arrived looking, as I said before, looking like it was dropped in a mud puddle or like it time traveled. What did Bruce say? A mimeograph? Mimeograph? Something he said. It was so funny. But yeah, this was the state of this subpoena that I got that went to 107 people, and the judge allowed it. It's crazy. But I mean, that's how long her leash was. What he allowed happened. He also allowed non-party Natasha Heath, her most sacred moment, her birth video, got subpoenaed. He ruled that she had to turn it over. He cited no case law to support his outlandish decision, but that's the kind of things that they were granted in this case. He held in-camera reviews of attorney-client communications, the things that usually are the most protected things out there. He allowed, and work product stuff, he allowed many of them in. The same judge who refused to do an in-camera review of the documents that Wayfarer sought from the security company that allegedly illegally took the contents of Jen Abel's phone. But suddenly, even though he didn't have time to do that, he had time to review those text messages that were between attorneys and their clients, not once, but twice. There was no limit to what he let her have, and even with that, she was unable to produce any proof that this was some kind of bot-led smear campaign. Now, we're going to contrast that with this state court in South Carolina, a much more serious case. It's on its third judge, and they have been met, as I said, with every possible obstacle. 3 attorneys have toiled for almost 5 years to try to prove their case. Now, on the bottom left, that's 2 of the main attorneys that work on it, and I always forget poor John, and I just met him. This is me in a picture with Tabor at that hearing. He is the, well, you could see clearly that that's him in the picture. He's the one on the right, and then the one on the left is Mark Tinsley. I didn't get to meet, he wasn't there for that. But there's a third one, John Nichols. He doesn't usually write as many of the filings, and so I always forget, and I'm so sorry. And I met him too. But anyway, almost 5 years they've spent trying to get to the bottom of their case, and they have not been granted anything like what Blake was granted. It's such a crazy contrast, and it's one of the reasons that the Blake case just kept blowing my mind, because the contrast between the two was absolutely insane. But in spite of all those obstacles that included trips to the South Carolina Supreme Court by the guy in the middle, Mark, I call him Mark Time Waster Moore. I also call him Mr. Smee, as you see up in the right. You could see the resemblance, right? Don't subpoena me, Mark Moore. I know you tried to, but anyway, he loved to run to the South Carolina Supreme Court like an overzealous hall monitor to try to get these attorneys into trouble. He filed multiple motions trying to recuse the two that I showed you, Mark Tinsley and Tabor Vaux. He accused them endlessly of all kinds of things. There were multiple in-camera reviews. There were rulings to obstruct the gathering of discovery, and there were a mountain of motions. I have 4 like 2-inch bound that I created of the filings from this case, and that was before. And it kind of was on hold for a while when they prepped for the third judge, who is now in charge. And since he's been in charge, now there's been more, and I have almost a full 2-inch binder of those new filings. It's insane how he buries it. And I just want to say it's very similar to like with Blake, where I kept saying, Blake, your lawyers hate you. They hate you. They're just taking your money. And this is kind of like what I feel what's going on. Like maybe not hate in this case, because they seem to love their client, but they file motion after motion, and they're so long and it's nonstop. Like these people are earning their retirement right now off of Greg Parker, who is a billionaire, by the way, and doesn't seem to mind spending that money. But full disclosure about this little puzzle, I've updated it. I made this a little bit before when I was covering it, but I'm doing all this as much as they accused these attorneys of feeding us information, just like Blake's attorneys accused that of happening, saying we were paid and we were being information to report on by Wayfair. They're making the same exact accusations there. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to these kinds of things that keep happening, because they keep blaming. In this case, it's an actual journalist, Mandy Matney. But in our case, it was all of us content creators, podcasters, and so forth. But we are a new target, because as you saw with the Blake Lively case, that it was obvious that mainstream media is easily bought. They either don't report, or what they reported about the case was very skewed in Blake's favor. We were actually reading the filings. We knew that it was nonsense what they were saying, and that's if they even bothered to say anything. So with that being the situation, that makes us content creators, podcasters, journalists, whatever, whoever happens to be talking about it, that makes us a pretty big target. Why? Because we won't be bought. We won't be controlled. We will look at every single filing that comes across the docket of a case that we're interested in, and we'll talk about it. And we'll tell you about it, and we'll encourage you to look at the docket and read it, and then go back to your own social media accounts and post about it or talk to your friends about it. And so word gets spread, and they don't like it. So this has been what's happening now. It's becoming a trend that they try to shut us up by either subpoenaing us or doing something else to frighten us. And I have to admit, and I come here with both an apology and a confession. This case, when my name appeared on the docket of this case, I was frightened. Blake's, I was upset. But this one, I was truly terrified because of who is involved in this and what I saw that was going on. So the billionaire is Parker there at the top. He has in-house attorneys, then he has other attorneys. He has an attorney from Baker Hostetler, which is a huge firm. It's not just a United States firm, it's around the world. No, this isn't a Judge Lyman case, Lisa. This is another case that I cover in South Carolina, but it has so many similarities to the Blake case. So that's why I was bringing the Blake, like tying it all in. This man has so much money that when he's accused of when he was served in this lawsuit for being the place where the liquor was bought by underage kids who end up in a fatal boat crash, instead of just, and I honestly think, because every time I've reported on this case, it's the only case that I've reported on that I've had some really nasty people come into my comments about. There are people who have no empathy about the boat crash. They blame the kids that were involved in it. They say, oh, they knew better. They say all kinds of things. And so it is a case that if Parker had played his cards right, if he had come for, oh, I hear lightning, or thunder. If he had come forth and said, okay, you're right, I made a mistake. I didn't make sure all my employees were well trained. I apologize for my employee's mistake. Here's what I'm going to do going forward to make sure a mistake like that never happens again. And donated some money to some sort of cause about alcohol related accidents. He could have done something. The mom she's in the middle there with the two attorneys, Renee Beach. That's who's the main person in the lawsuit. She started a charity called Mal's Pals for her daughter, who's the one who was killed. She loved animals. And so it's a charity for animals called Mal's Pals. He could have said, I'm donating millions to this. I'm going to do something great. And I really think that it could have changed the public's view of him. It could have done a lot of good for everyone all the way around. But instead of doing that, he got mad. He got like, how dare you? How dare you say that this is my fault, even though it is his fault? After he was investigated later. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at. Oh, it's about Bocce. Okay, I thought you were talking about me, so I was like, wait, oh, did I put this on members only by mistake? Okay, so instead of doing a good thing, he's like, okay, how dare you say this? And he started spending his money, sending it out, and you're going to see where some of it went in a moment. He had this documentary down towards the bottom left, this Murdaugh Murders, Deadly Dynasty. You can see it on HBO. It was co-produced between these two people, Greg Roman and Vicky Ward. And Greg Roman ends up, you're gonna hear a lot more about him. But they play this dirty game of sending out a bunch of PIs. They're tracking these boat crash survivors, setting up cameras outside of their homes, following them around campuses. Like, that's not creepy, right? You've got these middle-aged men. One of them is a former FBI counterterrorism op. And he's out there in his new job as a PI, tracking college girls around their campus. It's creepy. It was so very creepy. But this is what this man saw fit to do rather than face the music. For in in the investigation into him, it was discovered that he had a lot of turnaround with employees, that he doesn't pay very well. He doesn't provide good benefits. Instead of spending the money here, he could have done that and had better, more loyal employees that would actually pay attention and this mistake not happen again. But no, when you're full of hubris, when you don't want to face what you've done, this is what you choose to do instead. And so you're going to see a little bit about what he did in time, but that's what this whole puzzle is about the little bits of information that I could get from the filings throughout these years. I tried to put the main characters here, and I've been able to add some new ones, and they're these three: this Truist Bank, Demo Man International, and Tal Hannon, or Hanan, however you say his name. You're going to hear about him in a moment. He's the one in the video. And you're going to see what these people do that he sent almost $400,000 to. Okay, so the good news is, so like I was saying, full disclosure, there were probably errors to my puzzle, because unlike what they think, these two attorneys that named me on this case, I don't get inside information. I have to use what's publicly filed and my own research into names that I find that are in the docket. So this is what I've come up with. It will probably have a lot of alterations later, but a motion for summary judgment was filed in the case. So hopefully, I'm wishing upon every star, wishing upon every eyelash that falls, wishing upon every 1111, that when they respond to that motion for summary judgment, that they do what Wayfarer did and pile every bit of evidence that they have on there. And so then it will be available to the public, and we can look at it, we can all read it, and I can give you a full report of how exactly it happened. But until then, this is the best that I can do. Now, in one of the latest filings is where I got this biggest shock of all. And for those of you who watch Leanne Newton, you're used to her neat little color-coded reporting on X, where each color has a specific category meaning. Well, I'm not as organized as Leanne. My colors are for emphasis. So when a yellow highlighter is not enough, we go to green. That's when my voice gets higher. And then when green is not enough, we go to pink. And that's when I'm reading it and my mind gets blown so badly that my voice can no longer be heard by humans, but only dogs and bats. And that's what ends up happening here in this case. As I was reading it and highlighting it, I was like, what? And it just went off the charts from there. But let's read it. So this is from plaintiffs, those attorneys that I showed you, and Miss Beach. So they're writing to move the court for a rule to show cause why this bank should not be sanctioned and held in contempt of court for violating Rule 45 of the South Carolina rules in this matter, and for such other relief as the court may deem just and proper. On May 6, 2026, a subpoena for documents was issued by plaintiff's counsel for the production of documents from this bank. The subpoena was served on the same day, and they've got those exhibits, the subpoena and the notice of service included in here. Truist Bank subsequently provided plaintiff's counsel with records that show defendant Greg Parker wired a total of $383,000 in the summer of 2020 to Demo Man International. So those are the things that I'd added to the puzzle I showed you. Oh, I was reading it from the small. I was supposed to read it from this bigger one, sorry. An Israeli company run by Tal Hannon on the outskirts of Tel Aviv, Israel. So this goes to, oh, your grandma's hospital room was 1111, and you were born in room 11. Oh, every time I say 1111, I'm like, make a wish, 1111. So who is this guy? Why is this being sent to Israel? He is a reported, okay, It's getting a little crazy here, guys. I might have to go. We'll see. But I'm not going in the basement. I might get in the tub. A former Israeli special forces operative and his company came under fire 3 years ago when a bombshell report was released by The Guardian. According to The Guardian's report, Mr. Hainan worked under the codename Team George, and their investigation revealed extraordinary details about how disinformation is being weaponized by Team George, which runs a private service offering to covertly meddle in elections. This is how powerful they are, without a trace. The group also works for corporate clients. Hainan told the undercover reporters, be careful driving, Christina. Don't worry about modding. I think we've got a really small group tonight, so it should all be good. Hainan told the undercover reporters that his services, which others describe as black ops, were available to intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wanted to secretly manipulate public opinion. It's creepy. All right, you want to see the videos? Let me show you the videos about it. Be ready, because it's nuts.
George is the nickname, and I don't have a name.
And then
You saw what it said on the door, right?
no,
It says nothing. It says nothing.
my name is nothing.
Actually,
Fight, and now I wonder, is that not creepy? Did you guys have any idea? I didn't have any idea that it was that, I don't know, that evil, that easy to, I mean, it makes you scared. Like, don't click a link of someone you don't know. If they send you messages and there's a link in there. I mean, it's, Diana can't even watch it. Yeah, it's horrifying. But like with us being involved in covering cases, if they're a big enough case, just like this case, I would have never imagined that these people would have, but the proof is there. The proof is there. The subpoena was responded to. It was 3 separate wire transfers that were made to the bank, to this man's company, Demo Man International. I mean, it's there in black and white. So this is what he dealt, and he chose to do this because he had a lawsuit pending, and he wanted to make the other guys look bad. And he's a billionaire. He had the money to do it. And oh, you did know, Christina. Yeah, I didn't know it was this bad. I knew that stuff like this happened. I didn't know it was that easy, that someone could take control of your phone and operate your mic and your camera. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And what did he say? 33 elections that they've been hired to alter, and 27 of them successfully. Yeah, I would believe Blake would try this, especially yeah, more like Demon Man, definitely. Especially Ryan, I feel like he probably just didn't know about it. I don't know, but I felt like Ari Emanuel and people like that probably already had connections to things like this. I don't know, but just absolutely horrifying. But this is why, like when I was subpoenaed, when you file your motions on the docket, you are supposed to send an email to both sides of counsel, with a copy of your filing. They're not supposed to have to go get it off the docket. At least there in Southern District of New York. I don't know if that's everywhere, but yeah, I have a Band-Aid over my the cameras on my tablet just in case. But my phone, I never did. Now I guess it gets a Band-Aid too. My poor little pretty phone. But anyway, what was I saying? Cassidy side quest. What was I saying? It's gone. It's completely gone. Okay. Well, I'll just move on then. So it's crazy to me that side, And it's just like with Blake. Remember, we kept saying every accusation that Blake made against Wayfair, they actually were the ones that were guilty of doing it. And this case reminds me so much of what we saw there because it seems to be the same thing. The stuff that they've been accusing these guys of doing all these years, they were the ones actually doing crazy stuff. And that's why they think that everybody's as evil and awful as they are, because that's where their brain goes. And that's the first thing that they attempt to do. So, but all of these accusations, they keep calling them out as like, especially Mark Tinsley, because he's been on some documentaries. Well, so has Greg Parker. So has Greg Roman. He actually produced one. But for some reason, when they do it, it's fine. It's just like Blake, rules for thee and not for me. When they do it, it's fine. But when the other side does it, they're fame whores. He's just trying to be a celebrity attorney. It's sick, the amount of accusations that have been hurled at these guys. But this is this is what they've been up to. So much worse. So much worse. And these guys haven't even done what they've been accused of. They've been painted as bullies, trying to peer into protected work product and attorney-client privilege. That's what he ran off to the South Carolina Supreme Court and said. They've been tattled on to 3 now South Carolina state court judges. It's all turned out to be lies, while they were the ones that were obstructing 6 ways to Sunday at every attempt to collect discovery that was owed to that side. These are the 3 judges. So Price was removed. Morgan he came on for a very short amount of time, but he ended up hiring a law clerk that had clerked in opposing counsel's office during the time that the boat crash case was settled. And this conspiracy case is an offshoot of that case. So he had to be recused. And now we have Judge Kelly, who I've now actually sat in his courtroom. So when he took the seat, so much has been happening. These accusations were hurled. There were motions to recuse these 2 attorneys. There were motions to keep things as protected, either as attorney-client privilege or as work product. All of this stuff was pending for a very, very long time. So when he came on board the case, he started to make some decisions. He denied the motions to recuse those 2 attorneys, so they get to stay. And he did rule. He ruled mostly okay in what he did. There were a couple that I was mad at him about, but he's been ruling mostly okay until this thing that's going on. And it's the thing that bothers me so much, like I said, for actual journalists like Mandy, the one who's being targeted in that case, and non-journalists, but people like me who, hey Kimberly, who are content creators, podcasters, whatever you want to call us, who report on these kinds of cases. I feel like the decisions that he's made in his court, and we're going to get to them in a second, have not been helpful for that situation. I even considered like writing a letter to the court to talk about like what happened in the Blake Lively case. I haven't done it. Probably won't do it. It was just like, this guy needs to know this is a trend and this has to stop and he has to rule in a better way for this, but anyway, let me see. Let me check my notes real quick. So right now, Mandy and her partner in her channel, her podcast, Liz Farrell, they have been under brutal attacks. What do they have to do with this case and the accusations of this case? Absolutely nothing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop them. But what they say, so what happened? Let me go back to that picture of the puzzle to try to explain, just so you know. I'm going to get into all of this deeper. I meant for this one to just be a quick introduction to you guys so you know what's happening here and why it's such a big deal. Where is my puzzle? Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. So what happened is the council met. Both sides of council met. And SLED is the South Carolina State Police that were investigating the boat crash. So there was information that SLED had. The attorneys, of course, could have access to it because they are trying to there was the lawsuit about the boat crash, so they could get access to this information. And then they had their own protected information from the times that they met. There was a mediation video, a video that was made. I think it was mediation video, what it was called, and some other information. And when attorneys meet, they have things like for a deposition or something like that. They mark things. They Bates. Remember we learned about Bates numbering in the Lively case? That's so everybody, they use the same system of filing things away so everybody knows which file. If somebody says, oh, it's this one, BL blah blah blah, we saw those at the bottom of the exhibits in that case. And so because they all followed the same system, they could just go and look that up and they could have access to it easily as well. So they have things like that, markings that are not going to be anywhere else except on the attorney's work. And yes, you can FOIA things from the police. However, that case was active at the time. That means that there is public access to the things that can be accessed. But when you have an investigation that's in the process still, there are a lot of things that they will not allow the public to see because it could affect their investigation. So what happens, though, is in this documentary, the people that are involved in making this documentary, some of this stuff that no member of the public should have access to ends up getting leaked. The only people that had access to all of it, so some of it was from police and some of it was attorney's work, the only people that would have access to all of that stuff would be counsel who was there for the meetings. That's a limited, very limited number of people, but that's the stuff that ends up getting leaked everywhere. So that was the start of this conspiracy case, because from that stuff, one of the main things that bothered the family the most was a picture or pictures of Mallory Beach's deceased body. Now, she was thrown from the boat and her body wasn't found for 8 days. So naturally, it's a crime scene. Photos are taken by the police. Those photos exist for the police. And it shows up in what they called a sizzle reel, which is kind of like a trailer for the documentary that's meant to like really be shocking and get people interested in watching it. It's barely blurred from what I understand. I haven't seen it, but it actually aired and people saw it. I don't know if her family actually saw it or just heard about it, but it was traumatic. She was a beautiful 19-year-old girl. And do you think that's what parents want? I mean, they were scared to even open their phones, scared to watch anything because their baby girl might pop up like that. And so that's where this conspiracy case came out of. Well, right away, they're not going to take the blame. And so they, just like they weren't taking the blame for selling the alcohol to minors. So they're like, well, maybe it came from you. It came from you. You gave it to this person or that person. Because just like what happened to us content creators in the Lively case, because we were reporting on it, Mandy and Liz were the main ones reporting on it. as it was happening. They had been reporting on the whole Murdaugh case, and this was an offshoot of that. It was a local story. They were living and working in South Carolina at the time, and they were reporting on it. And because they were reporting on it, it was the same thing. Oh, you must be getting your information from Mark Tinsley. And so that's what they started to do, is to shift all of the blame to him and to her. And that has been their defense all along. They can't defend it because, as we've seen now, this guy was doing this kind of stuff. But rather than defend themselves honestly, they pulled all kinds of obstructive moves. Like I said, trying to recuse the attorneys, running to the Supreme Court, claiming everything was work product or attorney-client privilege, all kinds of nonsense. And so once the judge ruled on that motion and said, no, you're not getting rid of these attorneys, they needed somewhere else to focus. And that has become Mandy. It's always women, isn't it? It makes me so angry. And that's where we are. So that's the hearing, one of three. So, there's been 2 hearings so far, and a third one is still coming. But that's the hearing that I was at a couple of weeks ago. So this case has been absolutely sickening. Oh, wait, oh no. Oh yeah, I forgot. I moved around to try to get to that one. Let me get where I was. Okay. All right. So I think some of you saw the video. I meant to load it to show it on here, but I forgot to queue it up. But in the initial hearing, so the first hearing was about, oh, let me backtrack. Clear your head. Get this together. Okay. So she was going to be deposed. Her partner, Liz, her podcast partner, had already been deposed. She was asked questions about her ex-husband. None of your business. Nothing to do with the case. But they asked it. She was asked about her salary. None of their business. Nothing to do with the case. But they asked it anyway. They kept her for hours. And they had already said, we don't have this information. They'd already responded to subpoenas for information from their devices. They have nothing to contribute to this case because they didn't do it. But it doesn't stop these people. And at this point, it just seems like absolute harassment. Yes, to make her uncomfortable. That's what it's all about. And so she knew about Liz's experience. She knew hers was coming up. These women have had crazy stalkers. Crazy stalkers. This guy on the left, for example, this same man, he's a felon. He is on probation right now for his federal case. He almost got my YouTube channel shut down. And he is attacking Mandy. He's absolutely jealous of her success. There was a Hulu series about the Murdaugh that was based on Mandy and Liz's experiences because they're the ones that brought this case to the world. They're the ones that discovered some very key points about Alex stealing from his clients. And so they deserved it. They deserved to have a series made about their lives and how they went about finding the truth about Alex Murdaugh. They were there from years ago as the story unfolded, and they played a big role in that story unfolding. So if any of you have seen the Murdaugh series that's on Hulu, this is Mandy right here. She's played in the series by Brittany Snow. And you'll recognize Mark Tinsley, the attorney. He's in there and all that. I highly recommend. Omar and I were covering it. We haven't finished. A bunch of stuff happened and we just got off our schedule. We still have 2 episodes of that to cover, but I highly recommend watching that, and you'll really get to know a lot about what happened. You'll see the boat crash in it, all of that background stuff. That's good. So this is Mandy. She is the target right now. Now look at her. She's in a bathing suit. She's on a floaty. You see an arm and part of a leg. You don't see her breasts. You don't see anything. But she posted this picture when she's at her hearing to explain to the court why she was terrified to appear in the place they wanted her to appear for her deposition. And instead, she's a non-party. And you guys learned with the Lively case that non-parties are given extra consideration by the court because they didn't choose to be a part of a case. They were drugged into it. They are not parties. They're always supposed to be given. It's in the rules from the government that says they get special consideration because they're non-parties. As a non-party, she begged and pleaded. She filed motions to quash all kinds of things and said, yeah, that series is so good, isn't it, Kim? But but it was all denied, and they're like, nope, you've got to be subpoenaed. She has no information that's going to help this case whatsoever. But this judge said, you got to do it. So then the this creepy guy on the left, he is just absolutely obsessed with her. He follows everything she does, posts about it constantly, talks about it constantly. Well, he's getting involved all of a sudden with a bunch of crazy stuff. He knows where her deposition is going to be. And he posts like the city, you know, when you enter a city or a town, there's like a welcome sign to that town. He posts that morning that city sign of where she was supposed to be deposed. Now, what is that? Is that not meant to intimidate you? You ladies out there, how are you going to feel if this creep who is obsessed with you posts about you and talks about you every single day? You're going to a place to be deposed that's not public information, and that person knows it somehow and posts it. I mean, how creeped out are you going to feel? Really, really creeped out, right? She did. So she said, well, in the law firm, and it was opposing counsel's law firm. Do you guys remember when Blake said that she didn't want to go to Wayfarer's law firm to be deposed? And so the court ruled that because she didn't feel safe, that she could have it at hers, even though it was their deposition and they had the right to say, and she's the plaintiff in the case. She's the one who brought this whole lawsuit. So she knew more than anyone that she was going to have to be deposed at some point. But this non-party is getting denied all consideration. So she talked about in the court that this law firm that she was going to go to was not secured, and that in order to use the restroom, you have to go outside and to an outside hallway where people who are walking in would have access to it. And she didn't want to go there. And I don't blame her, because they already told her they were going to have her for like 8 hours, not just one day, but 2 days, which is ridiculous because this woman did nothing wrong. She has nothing helpful to tell them. And so what she did, she said, I am willing to be deposed, but I want to do it in the safety of my attorney's firm. And she hired security, and she brought her husband, and she was there, ready and willing. Some of the people were on Zoom, and she's like, we can do this on Zoom. Why is the judge letting this happen? That is the question of the day. That is the question of the day. I do not understand. So she's like, we can do it over Zoom, or you can come here, but I'm not going there. And she stayed there, and they refused. And right away, first thing they did is went out and filed contempt charges against her. They want attorney's fees. And so they have this hearing. And in this hearing, and I know, Christina, you were there, and hopefully some of you others were there and saw the video. During this time, the attorney, who's a woman, believe it or not, she says, if you're so afraid, no, she goes, did you post a picture of yourself in a bathing suit at the beach? And she's talking about this picture because she posted this on her Instagram. She still is. She's posting things just like how I say, like when I'm having a rough time of it, I want to come on and I call you guys my dopamine hit, because I can come on here and I can chat with you guys and like feel cheered up and feel better. So she does the same thing with her Instagram. So she talks to people and we all come and we support her. And then she feels better. So look at what she says. Sometimes depression looks like this. When it's brave to just get out of bed and get a little sunshine. Hang in there. This is when she was dealing with all of this. Okay, this is what she posted. And this attorney turns it around on her and it's like, did you do that? Did you post a picture of yourself in a bathing suit? And then says that because a woman who's in fear wouldn't post a picture of herself in a bathing suit. I swear, I am glad I was not there that day because I was screaming at my computer. I was so disgusted. And when I talked about it later with Omar, I told him, I said, I did some light time travel today. I went back to before I was born when women, when they would come to court to say that they'd been assaulted, that's the way they were treated. Well, what were you doing at a bar? Well, were you wearing a miniskirt? Why was your lipstick red? And it's just victim blaming. Like, not only did you deserve what you got, but you were asking for it. Like, it was that. And her attorney objected, of course. And the attorney, Deborah Barbier, well, she says, I think she says Barbier, which, like, why would you have such a pretty name and then abuse it so badly? But I can't bring myself to say that, so I say Barbier because that's the way it should be pronounced. Anyway, Cassidy side quest. So Barbier is like, when her attorney objected, she goes, "That's not the point." And the judge, like an echo, immediately said the same thing. That's not the point. I was like, when I tell you that I get a feeling from the hair sticking up on the top of my head to my toenails about him in that moment. Like, I can't even describe. It was like the ick just passed through my whole body. And I was just like, oh, you're one of those guys. Because I knew when he said that he was not going to rule in her favor, that he was not going to be reasonable, that he was not going to understand what it's like to be a woman who's living in fear. And he didn't. He did not rule in her favor. And so what she's doing right now, the hearing that I went to, was to like a show cause hearing to try to explain, because he's already determined now that it was wrong of her not to show up in the designated place for her deposition. So now it's a show cause hearing for him to determine whether or not she's going to owe these attorney's fees or fines or whatever. I guess it's like sanctions and contempt charges and stuff. That for a while she was afraid there was going to be jail time, because there can be jail time for contempt. And so she's having to go to the court to try to defend this situation right now. And here was the most infuriating part. When I was there at the hearing, I was afraid I was going to get kicked out, tossed out of the courtroom. I really was. I was in the very back row, but I saw the judge look at me a couple times because I react. I've told you before, my face has captions. Well, I also, when I see something crazy, I gasp, I grumble, I throw my hands up. I was sitting in the same row with Eric Bland. I didn't introduce myself, but we kind of like said a few things to each other, and I'm turning to him and can you believe it? Blah, blah, blah. And then Sandy Smith, the mother of Stephen Smith, was also next to me, and I'm like turning to her and we're saying stuff and like throwing my hands up like, what in the world? Because here is what's going on. So this hearing is her fighting to defend herself, to say why she was too terrified to go show up at that thing, and she's not being permitted to really give her case, because everything that they're bringing up, she brought page after page after page of the threats that she's received online. She brought page after page of this creepy man's posts about her to turn in. And of course, Deb is what I call her when I'm mad at her. Deb is over there objecting to everything, and the judge is sustaining it. And I'm like, are you crazy? This is not a trial. There is not a jury that can be prejudiced here. This was a hearing for her to tell the court why she was scared. And you're sitting here not accepting her reasonings? And the chance of this showing up in court is so small. This is such a little part. There's nothing that they're going to that she's already sat for her deposition, which is even more infuriating. Ultimately, afterwards, they did agree to go to her safe place. She was able to have her husband. I think they were trying to not even let her have her husband there. And she has security. She felt safe there. And so it was done there. So she's already done it. And she's still being harassed like this. But the chances of this hearing ever showing up in the trial are 0 to none. So why are you being so protective of it? Like, what exactly are you trying to protect? And if by some crazy chance some of it would need to come into the trial for some reason, there are so many possible ways to deal with anything that you think could prejudice someone along the way. It's as simple as motions in limine, like we just saw in the Wayfarer case. You can say, this should be excluded, and it's that simple. Or it could be redacted. There are so many things that could be done to protect this. So, like, who are you protecting this information from? This whole hearing is just about her. And you should be sitting there and listening to why this woman is afraid. She should be your priority right now. She's a non-party that's supposed to be getting your special consideration, and you won't even hear it. You won't even accept it. It was awful. And her attorney was so good. At first, she was trying to like pass in the exhibits and then was trying to talk about him, but he was like sustained, and that was it. She had to move on. So then she's really smart. She's like, okay, I'm going to talk about it before I hand it in. And so that's what she started doing. And so she got to get a little bit more of it out so that at least we got to know like what was going to be on that exhibit that was going to get ruled out. There are very few that he actually accepted. And so she had such a good case that it lasted. We had to go to lunch and come back. And then he said, okay, we don't have enough time. And so he said the next one was going to just be like on WebEx, something like Zoom, like court Zoom. But now they've decided that they are going to hold it in person. So that's coming up this month as well. So she's got to go through this all over again. And what she did, because the first time the courtroom was pretty empty. And I can't even imagine what it must have felt like for her. She was scared. She was afraid that there might be jail time. And there she was, sitting up in the witness chair and being brought to literal tears and sobs. I mean, I was crying watching it happen. And because I can't imagine. And, I was upset about what happened to me in the Wayfarer case, but this is a million times worse. And she's already been living in fear for years because of being followed. And this woman gets the worst threats. People literally talking about nooses and slitting her throat and disgusting, despicable, horrible things for years. She's had to put up with this. In Liz's affidavit that she sent in the court to support Mandy, she talked about what it was like. She moved completely out of South Carolina. She's almost as far away from it as I am. And she went and got registered and learned how to shoot a gun. She's got a gun. She's got a panic room. She's got high-level security. This is how these women are living who have done nothing wrong. They're having to live like this because they have told the truth about some nasty people. And that's what it's come to. And if the judge cannot see how dangerous this trend is, I don't even know what to say. Like, why is he not concerned about this? Why is he not taking this more seriously? I don't know. I don't like judges. You guys know that. There's very few that I like, I should say. I loved Judge Newman. But by and large, so many of them have just become heartless. They just get in and they work like robots. They're not looking at the things they need to be looking at. They're in the service of humans. They need to have humanity about them as they do their job. And when they lose that humanity, they need to get out of the courtroom because they're no longer fit for it, in my opinion. This is a huge problem. This woman has shown the death threats she got and is not being taken seriously. I don't understand. I don't understand. What do you want? You want to wait until you're covering her murder in your courtroom? How are you going to feel then? Because you didn't pay attention when you should have. But anyway, so another thing that's gone on, and this is the big thing that they tried to block, that they wanted blocked because it looks really bad for them. So this woman on the right is a former employee of Mandy and Liz. After she left them, because after the Murdaugh murder trial was over, their workload really decreased, and so they had to let her go. She went to Fitz News, which is where Mandy and Liz used to work before, and they left on bad terms. But so this Callie woman, and her deposition is on the docket. I've been able to read that. So she leaves Mandy and she goes and she's working for Fitz, and then she gets let go from Fitz. This woman has questionable criminal history. There is some criminal history in there. Came out in her deposition. I don't know what she did. I didn't look it up. But so she has a laptop that she used at Fitz News. And she's all of a sudden, just like with Jen Abel, her phone, she gets access to this cloud that has these messages from these former employees from Fitz, including Mandy and Liz. She knows that's not hers, but she starts reading them. Not only does she start reading them, she shares them with the creep on the left, the felon. So this is breaking. And she calls herself a journalist, an investigative journalist, so she should have known better, or she should have known to use her little friend Google before she did something so stupid as that. This broke federal laws like wiretapping and storage. We saw all the same ones that we saw that Wayfair has applied towards Stephanie Jones. There's all of those it's multiple federal laws. There's also South Carolina state laws that makes this a crime. Not only that, so he who is obsessed with Mandy takes those, and from what I understand, I don't watch him. I'm petty. I don't give someone I don't like, I don't give them a single view. But from what I've been told is he put some of those public, but he goes running to Greg Parker and says, "Hey, I got some messages that could help you out." So they subpoena this creep on the right and say, "Hey, we want those." So not only do they do that, they pay her something like $8,000 to get it all together for them. Now, here's the thing. I don't even know if that's usable in court. Normally, first of all, it's not hers to share for a subpoena, so that could be quashed so easily. But also, when something is subpoenaed, it's either the phone company or a company that can come in and do an extraction. That keeps the data and the evidence clean. It can be authenticated. Yes, it came from this source. Well, this woman sits there and spends weeks or months going through it and separating it and sorting it and categorizing it. And this is what she gives them. Is that even usable in court? I really doubt it, because it's been tampered with. It's been altered. But that's what these people do. This is what she's had to put up with. So now her private messages got put out there. Same thing that happened to Jen Abel. But fortunately, in this case, I believe it was mostly work-related and not so much private stuff. But of course, that all got nipped in the bud. The judge didn't let that stuff come through. Why? Why? It's important to why she feels afraid. Okay. now, this is one of her latest posts. And so that third hearing that was going to be on WebEx has now been changed to be in person as well. So what she did is that she put this out, and she called it Crowd the Courthouse. And she asked people to come and support her because the first time was so horrifying. And she had security there that she'd hired because she was afraid that that stalker guy was going to show up. And so she asked people to come and to wear pink to support her. And so a bunch of us did. That's why I was there. And it was that literally that courthouse entire room, every row was packed, and we were all in pink. And that the difference that it made between her first hearing where she was alone and then with all of us there like supporting her was night and day. She was able to speak up. She was able to carry the weight of it all, and she did so good. So she's asked it again, but you better believe the first thing that old Deb said was that, oh, she posted on her Instagram. She gets crazy amounts of screenshots of everything that Mandy posts and brings it to the courthouse to say, look at this, Your Honor. Oh, she said this about you. And she said this about me and other counsel. It's crazy. It's First Amendment, Deb. You should read it. But she had something to say about us showing up there. And he goes, I'm going to stop you right now. And he turned to us in the courtroom and he said, you are always welcome in my courtroom. And I thought, oh, okay, good. He's a good guy. And then I ended up not liking him through the process of him not accepting or not letting her really state her case. Yeah, I'm sure that's a really good point, Gelth. You always have good stuff, smart stuff to say. She can ask the court to enforce an order that the stalker be kept out of court. I know she went to the police and filed a restraining order. I don't know if it's in place yet or what else she's done to do that. I don't think she showed anything publicly. She just said that she went to the police. So hopefully she has done that. But the guy's already on probation. He needs to be a little bit more careful with what his activities are. Oh, there's thunder. Okay, let me see. Look at my notes because I went way off. All right. So we saw earlier that Greg Parker wired this money to that bank, and where it went to that Demo Man International with that Israeli operative that alters elections around the world. So we already know that, and as horrifying as that is, there's also this man Greg Roman that I showed you before. He Kill. You're so silly. So he you blew my mind. Hold on. Where am I? So he did that documentary, but he was named as the person that hired the private investigators, and that was discovered several months ago in one of the later filings, that he was the person. They named him as the person who hired them. So he was serving as a go-between, apparently, allegedly, to get all of this stuff done. So those private investigators that I told you were planting cameras across from people's homes. It was across from Paul Murdaugh's home, and following these girls around their college campus and stuff. So that's what he's about. He is a reporter that reports exclusively on the Middle East. He claims to live in Tel Aviv, but he's always at events in the United States. And that has always been, and since the Murdaugh thing is all, oh, hey, Omar. Okay, thanks. I'm not doing a separate one. I was just going to have you join here. Whenever you're ready, no rush. But So in the middle of all of his reports about the Middle East, he all of a sudden does this long scathing story about the Murdaughs. And he's the one that's got the information that only the attorneys or the police have. And so it's what kind of signals, oh, something's up here, something's going on. And like I said, he was one of the producers of the documentary. So in that documentary, there ends up being a lawsuit that comes out of that. This Murdaugh case is like a never-ending. What are those maps called? It's not Leviathan. Is that the word I'm thinking of? It's like this maze and it just goes on and but that's how it's gone. There's a new case out of that because from this documentary that one of the aims allegedly that Greg Parker wanted to do was to say that Buster Murdaugh was gay. And the reason he wanted to do that is because he wanted to blame him for what am I walking into? A mess. So remember the Mandy thing? This is about that same case. So okay, back to this. Come on, you can do it. Oh yeah. So he wanted to say that Buster Murdaugh was gay because there's this unsolved murder. A young man named Stephen Smith was killed and he was gay. And there was a rumor that someone started that said that it was Buster because they knew that he had a secret. He was in a secret relationship with someone, and no one, not even his twin sister or his mother, knew who that person was. And so his murder has not been solved. And so there were rumors that it was Buster. And so they wanted to label Buster as gay and try to throw some blame on him for that murder, just anything to make these people look bad. And so now, because of that documentary and several that were made afterwards that took a lot of the information from that documentary, Buster Murdaugh ended up filing a lawsuit against the makers, the producers, the production companies of those documentaries, multiple ones, for what they said about Buster based on information coming from these people. So let me see, where was I? And Greg Parker was on, I think it was Dateline. It was, or a Dateline type show. I'm pretty sure it was Dateline. And he admitted that he hired these private investigators and stuff. So it's not, some of these things are not questions anymore. They are facts. And so what's going on here is this guy, he's a brand new attorney, but he did so good. So before we got into the Mandy portion of the hearing, they worked on this bit about Greg Roman. They've been trying to get him subpoenaed and deposed. And he keeps saying, well, I live in Tel Aviv, but there's events that he's at that he posts about, and there's video of them. He had just been in Vegas like the week before this hearing, and he was about to show up in Washington, D.C., and there was supposed to be a luncheon. In fact, this attorney made the whole courtroom, even the judge, laugh when he's like, you can have lunch with him. But they were saying, we're willing to do it via Zoom. He doesn't have to come here. You know, he's here in the States all the time. We can meet up with him when he's here and get this deposition done. So he's running from his deposition, and yet nothing is happening to him. They're doing all of this about Mandy and nothing about this guy. It's crazy what's going on here. Labyrinth. Thank you, Vic. I knew Leviathan was wrong. Isn't that a snake or something? Labyrinth. That's the Murdaugh. That's the perfect word for Murdaugh. But they talked about, and I felt so bad for them because they've tried everything. They've even tried to subpoena through his attorney, and his attorney was there, a guy by the name of Taylor Smith. Also got the ick from him across the courtroom, and he's like, well, I'm not authorized to accept a subpoena for him. And how was that? So the judge hasn't ruled on what to do about Mr. Greg Roman, But here's where we are. I mean, the stuff happening in this case is just insane. It's stranger than fiction. But since all this happened, like, you wouldn't believe the reporting that the comments. There's been two separate attorneys that have given comments that were just awful. Um, and then one guy, a reporter for the state, the newspaper in South Carolina that I've been subscribed to for years, and I canceled my subscription over his coverage of this hearing. He was there. He was up in the they had the press in the jury seats. He was up in there, and it's so skewed and biased and just plain nasty the way he wrote up about this whole thing. But yeah, so yeah, state newspaper, you can thank John Monk for me canceling my longtime subscription with you. Because I was mad, and like I said, I'm petty. All right, so what do we have here? Oh, that's her attorney. She's so good. One of them. There's two of them, and they're both really, really amazing. They served by email in the Lego case. I wonder if see, that's a state law. Like, each state has laws about how that goes. So I don't know. Some states are really strict. You can't give it to anyone but the person you're trying to email. I don't know what the laws are. He's officially a resident of Pennsylvania. He used to live in Philly. And that's where his business is. And they even tried subpoenaing his business, but they refused that. And they wouldn't consider that served. So I don't know what the laws would be on that. And then he keeps saying, well, I live in Tel Aviv. So, and they don't cooperate apparently with things like this. So, like, they can't force Israel to cooperate and try to help them get the subpoena. But the judge can rule something. I don't know. And he does come to the States, like I said. I mean, his events are well known. He's probably going to stay away and cancel all of his events here now, because this is the way they play. It's crazy, the games that these people play. I mean, we thought Ezra and Manat and Leslie were bad. And then you see this stuff. But anyway, so that is what is going on with that case. So Omar, if you're still watching, I'll give you a really quick overview of it all. So Mandy Matney. Well, you saw, because we did a live about it together. And then she went to Peru right after, which we thought was really funny. Because I had just said Peru doesn't cooperate with the states either. Because when my name showed up on two different court cases at the same time, I was going to, I went to Germany and I was there for most of 2 months. But then I found out that they do cooperate, and then I found out that Peru doesn't, and I was like, okay, I'll go to Peru if I have to. But so you can't. Some states allow subpoenas to come through like other avenues, and others are very, very strict. But I didn't get a chance to look up his state or if that would even apply, because he claims to be a resident of Tel Aviv. So, but anyway, so. Anyway, Omar, we were talking about this, what was going on with Mandy. She's having hearings to show cause about why she refused to show up at the place that they designated for her deposition. She hired security and went to her attorney's law firm and said, we can do this over Zoom, or you can come here, but I'm not going there because it's not safe. And she tried to show the court all of the reasons why she didn't feel safe. It's the hearing that I told you that I went to. And this bathing suit woman, remember I played the video on your channel. I hope you're here and I'm not just talking to myself. But anyway, you were in comments a little bit ago. So bathing suit woman was objecting to everything, and the judge was sustaining most of it. So she still has another hearing to go through to try to explain why she was afraid for her life. She showed her death threats. And she's still in the middle of all that. But in more recent filings, we have discovered that Greg Parker paid almost $400,000 to this bank to go to this organization that they run huge bot farms to influence social media, and they've attempted 33 elections around the world, and they've been successful in 27 of them. And so that is the latest in this case. And then there's a bunch of other filings that I'll go through on a separate video about these things. But anytime you're ready, I've kind of gotten through to the end of my slides. All I have left now is this article that I was gonna go through to show like what these people do. This is where that video came from. That they found 180 journalists had been targeted by that spyware, by that guy that I showed you, those videos I showed you, the Tal Hanan from Demo Man International had information on okay, there's Omar. Hey Omar, how's it going?
Hey Cassidy, how are you?
We don't hear you.
Well.
Okay, now I do.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't know what to tell you.
See, I don't know how much you heard.
I didn't hear anything. Let's just assume I'm coming in fresh because I really am.
Oh, okay. Okay, I saw you in comments, so I was hoping you were watching. So
I was there, but
I just did a whole review, but I can do it over again. So remember we did the live about Mandy?
Yeah.
Okay, so that has continued. So they were attempting to depose her. She felt very unsafe at the place that they were going to do it. She's a non-party, so she should have been given special consideration by the court. She was denied that. They insisted that she come to their law firm.
Right.
And remember I said the bathrooms were outside. And so
Danger considerations, that crazy guy. I remember. The stalker guy.
The bathing suit. Yeah, the crazy stalker.
Not the same. What do we call him? He was an incel. He's like a 55-year-old incel. That's what he was.
I think you figured you said like 60.
He might have been 60. I think I was being well, I don't I just remember he looked like he was 60. Let me find him.
Here we go. Here he is again.
Yeah, that guy. But he was actually like 55 and he looks, what did he do to his hair? He 100% dyed his hair and he permed it like that. He thought he looked cute.
He thought it looked cute. Well, he was wrong.
He looks like a turnip. I don't know.
Thank you for joining. So here's what's going on with that conspiracy case. I think you really like it if you dove into it. So what it stems from is the boat crash, the Paul Murdaugh boat crash.
Yeah.
So in the process of that crash case, so up in the corner, I've got like the beach parties. There's SLED, that's the South Carolina State Police. And then we've got two of Parker's attorneys. So they have this meeting, and there's a mediation video that's kind of like a day in the life of Mallory Beach. Since she's deceased, she's not going to be there to tell her story. So it was kind of like a get to know her sort of video that her mother made, copyrighted, belongs to the mother. There were also exhibits that had like attorneys' notes on it and things, the kind of things that like a deposition where the person's address and phone number, things like that are redacted for public, but for attorneys, they're not. So these kinds of things. Oh, and also some stuff from the police, but it was an active investigation. So it's not anything that even a FOIA could have helped a member of the public to get. But the attorneys had it because they were doing the boat crash lawsuit. And so it's the only people that would have had access to both of those things, including the pictures of Mallory's body when it was found. only those people that were present for that meeting had access to all of those things from the police and from the legal papers. They show up, and this guy, Greg Roman, they show up. He's only ever written about the Middle East. They show up on he starts all of a sudden writing about Murdaugh's, this scathing thing, and he has information that only those people knew. And Greg Parker, he's the billionaire being sued. He shows up on Dateline and he admits that he's hired these private investigators and stuff. Well, the private investigators have now a few months ago come forward and said that they were paid by Greg Roman. So this is my puzzle, trying to piece everything together. I probably have a lot of mistakes in here, but this is what I've been able to gather so far. But a motion for summary judgment has been filed. So I'm hoping in the reply to that we get that mountain of evidence like we got in the Lively case, and then I'll know what's right. But in the one of the latest filings that they filed to show cause why they shouldn't ask for sanctions against this bank and against Parker's, because there were wire transfers from Greg Parker to this Truist Bank to this company, Demo Man International, which we're about to go through the article that explains what these people do. I showed a video earlier
Demo Man.
About what they do.
Black Ops operatives.
And yeah, and this is the guy, Tal Hanan. He is an Israeli operative, and he brags about his spyware, about his bot farm, how he goes about creating these bots. And he shows them in the video that I showed earlier, what he does to make these bots look like real people. And he brags that he has attempted to alter 33 elections around the world and was successful in 27 of them. This is what we're talking about. Very scary. And what he operates with is this kind of spyware that once it's in your phone, it can get access to absolutely everything. Where you are, it can access your microphone, turn it on and listen in. You don't know it. It can access your camera, turn it on and watch you, and you don't know it. It's like horrifying stuff. And that's the guy that Greg Parker, that it was discovered that he paid almost $400,000 to.
$384,000. Yeah, I kind of like glazed over your slides that you had sent me, and I saw the slide about the bot farm and like the spyware on phones and stealing people's stuff. And I was like, well, what am I walking into? Like, what are we talking about? It's kind of all over the place. Like, it's a big conspiracy. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I have not spent a lot of time with this. And so this is all fresh stuff for me.
Yeah. So what I wanted to have you react to, so not only like the craziness of all of this, but also like what's happening to Mandy. So I went to the hearing. We haven't talked since I attended it. So here's the thing. This wasn't a trial. There was no jury. And the chances of this part of the, I don't know if you consider this part of the discovery. I guess it's technically part of the discovery process because it's all about her deposition. But the chance of any of this making it to the trial, because it's so unimportant, is so slim to me. But so it's just the judge. Like I said, no jury. This could easily be protected if it, for some strange, unknown, ridiculous reason, it would ever need to come before the jury. There are a lot of precautions that could be done to keep it from prejudicing the jury. But while she's trying to prove her case, that to tell the court why she was in fear and did not want to go to that location and instead went to her attorneys, hired security, had her husband there, was willing to do it on Zoom, was willing for them to come there and do it. So that's what she's trying to show the court. It's a show cause hearing. But when this bathing suit woman kept objecting, he kept sustaining the objections. He wouldn't even accept the exhibits. So, as a non-party trying to show cause, is that weird, or is it just me?
How did she try to get the evidence in?
So at the hearing, her attorney was questioning her on the stand,
Okay.
and it was all about her showing cause to the court of why she was too scared. So she had all these exhibits, and there are things like death threats. This woman has been threatened with nooses, with having her throat slit. There's crazy stalkers that have stalked her for years with this crap, and probably some of the bots from that guy. But anyway, so she's got the posts from the creepy man, the incel.
And
She's
he
got
wouldn't
posts.
accept that because I recall this hearing was supposed to be about the appropriateness of their actions.
It's her show cause hearing about why she was afraid and refused to go to that place.
And so the judge is not accepting evidence of the stalkerish behavior or the harassment that she had endured.
Yeah. As she's the attorney, as she's going through, she would take she started off, she would take the exhibit and show it to the opposing counsel, and then go to pass it up to the judge, and then she was going to ask Mandy questions about it.
So what was the source of what was the specific objection? Do you know?
It was like, was it, let me see, I got my notes here. Most of it was about how is this relevant? How is this relevant? It's extremely relevant.
Well, I know why it's relevant, but how is it? I guess the question is, how was it presented to the judge that she would decipher it not?
If I wrote.
Also, people are saying that my mic is off, and I'm not sure why.
I hear you.
Yeah, could you hear? Do I sound like I'm coming out of my computer speakers, or is it through the?
No, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell your chat then, because
is that from when you first? That might be from when you first.
I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties. I think I got to restart my computer, but I don't have time because I'm here. And so it is what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you clear. Okay, Vic says that they hear you. Christina, can you hear him now? Maybe that was just when you first came on.
Maybe. Well, hopefully it's fixed. And if not, then I'll do my best to speak through inferior speakers. So, order to show cause why she's afraid, or why she needs special accommodations, or why she doesn't want to comply with their
well, here's the thing.
Subpoena. Okay.
By the time that hearing took place, she had okay, Christina says she hears you. So by the time that hearing that I attended took place, she had sat for her deposition. They finally broke down and came to her attorney's firm to do it.
Okay.
But they're still doing all of this. They're coming after her for fees. So that's what she's fighting right now.
Oh, they're fighting the fees.
Mm-hmm. They're coming at her for attorney's fees, which could very well be like 100,000, she said.
So basically she's trying to, they want attorney fees from her, if I'm understanding you correctly, right?
Mm-hmm. And they want her
and she wants to introduce evidence of why she did certain things and why she
didn't go to the designated place, why she went to her attorney's firm instead.
And the judge is saying not relevant, because what does it have to do with attorney fees and costs? What does it have to do with undue delay, unnecessary burden, expense, whatever? Yeah, I'd love to hear how that came out in court and what the judge's face or reaction to the objection was.
He was very dismissive. Omar, I thought I was going to get kicked out because I told you before, my face has captions. Yes. I also when I see something that my mind just cannot accept, I just turn to people and can you believe that? And so I was sitting actually by Eric Bland. Do you know him?
I've heard the name. I've heard you say his name.
Yeah, he's one of the attorneys that represented the Satterfield family.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's on the podcast with Mandy and Liz. I didn't
Oh.
introduce myself, but he's probably like, oh yeah, the crazy lady who kept talking to me. Because I would just be like, well, he was shaking his head too, getting frustrated. But yeah, and Mandy said she could hear. She was way up in the front, the witness thing, and she could hear me like, because I also gasp when I hear something that just blows my mind, and I'm like, my hands going up in the air. The tiny little bit of Italian blood I have, I guess, takes over, and my hands are just like, what are you doing? I was like, I better control myself. I'm gonna get kicked out because
I'm
I
gonna
was
bake
like,
you a
every
apple
time
pie
he's just.
of mealy apples. How about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring some mealy apples next time. Yep.
Voice your
Mealy
displeasure. I'll
Exactly.
tell you what. I've had. I got to tell you, man. I'm getting older, and I'm getting more expressive in the way that I conduct myself in court. And look, when I was a younger attorney, like when judges make decisions, I just roll with it. You just roll with it. But there have been times, like in the last couple of months, where I have been displeased with judges, and I'm just not so quick to roll over. And I'm a lot more expressive in my objections. And I don't know where that's coming from. It's a place of frustration. Maybe it's just a place of I know more.
It's your
And
association with me and Lauren.
maybe it's just
We've
I
been a bad influence.
am less inclined to just dismiss what I feel is bad judging of cases.
And there's a lot of it.
Yeah. And so
And
I can feel, I mean, look, if it's truly a relevance objection and they're not letting it in, they better have a really good reason why that's outside of the scope of how that's not giving context to her conduct that caused the alleged delay, unburdened expense, whatever, undue expenses. How is that? I don't understand why that wouldn't be relevant, even if it's not particularly interesting to the judge. To say it's not relevant, you got to preserve an appellate record.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand that objection. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. It was, and it was crazy. I'm going back. There's going to be a third hearing because we ran out of time. It went the whole morning, and then we had a lunch break and came back, and it was still going. And he's like, "We're not going to finish this today." And so he said the next one was going to be like on WebEx. And I was like, "Oh man!" But it just got changed. Mandy posted that it's going to be live again.
Oh.
And so she put out a thing. She called it Crowd the Courthouse, and she asked her supporters to show up for her and to all wear pink. That courthouse was packed. Every row was full.
Yeah.
And we were all in pink. And it made a huge difference for her. Like her countenance from the first hearing to the second hearing was like measurably different. And of course, bathing suit lady had something smart to say from the very beginning. She did not like it. And started to fuss to she's bathing suit lady now. Started to fuss to the judge about it, and he's like, "I'm going to stop you right there." And he turned to us and he said, "You are all welcome in my court." And so she didn't get away with that. So so she asked for it again coming up. And so there's going to be a third, probably final, hopefully final. I just can't believe that they're putting her through this. And then we're finding out that Greg Roman, this guy here on the puzzle,
the turnip? The overweight guy.
He's the journalist that's like, well, I'm in Tel Aviv. So at the beginning of the hearing, it started off about him because they're trying to depose him, and he's running from his subpoena and claiming that he lives in Tel Aviv, which I think he might part-time, but he's in events in the States constantly. In fact, the attorney that was covering that part of the hearing told the court he was just in Vegas last week, and he's going to be in DC. There's going to be a luncheon. We can all go have lunch with him there. And like the whole courthouse laughed about that. But they're saying he's here all the time. We can go meet him and depose him. We've offered him Zoom, but he's refusing to be deposed. They subpoenaed him via his business office. They said, no, we don't accept that. His attorney was there in person, and they're like, can we subpoena him through you? And he's like, I've not been authorized to accept a subpoena
Yeah.
on his. It's crazy.
No, I've played that game with attorneys before. I've literally thrown papers at. Seriously, like, hey, I don't accept service for my client. Well, your client could accept service for himself. I literally tossed the petition to her client directly and said, "Judge, let it be on the record that I just served her."
Whoa.
Client.
They should have
the
hired
judge-
you to go meet him in Washington, D.C. for the luncheon. And
Well, the
serve-
judge didn't like that move. She didn't like my boldness. I
Oh.
was a younger attorney. It was technically valid service, but it was bad decorum, I guess. But I was pissed off.
Unsportsmanlike behavior. Because it's reindeer games. It's just,
Yeah.
it's nonsense. And this guy is in the thick of it. He was the guy named now in discovery as the one who hired these private investigators for Greg Parker. And he was the one writing about it. And his writings had stuff that was not known to the public at the time, stuff that only the attorneys knew at the time. He produced this documentary, this one that's here on HBO. You see him on there talking about it. This guy is in the middle of it all, running from his subpoena.
Was
But
he on the Murdaugh documentary? The one about the appeal?
the new one, the Netflix one?
Yeah, the 30-minute one, the egg
No.
lady.
No. He
Oh.
he was on, this one is on HBO.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the HBO one.
Is that one HBO? No, that one's Netflix. The
yeah.
Instabox. Yeah. No, I don't think he was on that. I don't think so. But
By the
he
way,
was on,
we have not talked about the appeal, the overturning,
No.
the new case. We gotta at some point.
I know I'm
visit
so
that one.
behind. My life has been like stupid busy.
Yeah,
Louise.
Mine too. It's been a crazy period of life. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I do
And,
have to run. I got like 4
Oh, do
minutes
you?
to prep for my
Oh,
other
okay.
life.
Yeah,
Push
that's
it
okay.
back.
Yeah, I
But,
know you're.
hey, we got to do this again because
Yeah.
we haven't streamed in like a month. I feel like a really long time.
Yeah, it's
You
been a
and
long.
Lauren. I haven't streamed with either of you. And Lauren's over there frolicking in Australia.
Oh, is she? Is she back in Australia? So cool.
Yeah, she's living life up there. And but yeah, we got to do this again.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
intrigued by this case. You make it sound so like dramatic. It's like I'm
It is.
here in the courtroom with you when you describe it, and I get. I don't want to say I get as enraged as you, but I'm deeply perplexed the way that you're describing it to the point where I got to see what's going on with this, man. I can't just let that go.
You should come to
Absolutely.
the hearing if you can.
Hey, man, if I could get down to North Carolina.
South. Well,
South
we fly
Carolina?
into North Carolina because it's closer to where did we fly in? Charlotte.
I've never been, but my wife has been, and she says that it's great out there. And so,
It's beautiful. I mean, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot, but
we
you're
could
used to
we could
that.
deal with the heat, man. If we could get
Yeah.
like a vacation without the kids, hey, we're going down to North Carolina for the weekend. All right.
You guys should come. That would be amazing. Yeah.
And then we could all eat mealy apple pies together. How about that?
No, they got some great seafood. All the
Oh,
stuff I ate.
I'm down
Oh, I
for the
think I
seafood.
showed you the
man.
pictures of the stuff I ate before.
You did. There's like this smorgasbord of like
It
exotic
was
seafood. It
amazing.
looked delicious.
Straight from the sea. So good.
All right,
Yeah.
Cassidy, I got to run.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. We're gonna do something together.
All
soon.
right. I'll email you some of these latest filings so you can see what's going on because I think it's going to grab you. It's really interesting.
I'm already grabbed. You might as well just send me all the stuff.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Omar.
All right, Cassidy, you take
Have
care.
a good night. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Why did I move my microphone? I just moved my microphone out of the way like I was leaving. But I am going to call it a night. Thank you, Christina, for being the mod extraordinaire that you always are. And thank you, Gilda. Thank you guys for joining. And you followed the Murdaugh trial too. There are so many. There are so many cases that came out of it. It just feels like it's never going to end. But thank you guys for supporting, even though it's so late tonight. And thank you to everyone who comes on replay later. I always forget to say that. And Jesse, like, be careful. Like, be wary of links that you open from people, or not to open links from people that you don't know. Now seeing what we saw that these people are capable of and how they can take over our phone is insane. But you guys are amazing. I've missed you. It was nice to spend another night with you after so long. And I'm going to be working on more of the filings from this case. And I really, really hope that you guys will follow it. Just because it's I feel like this topic is so important for all of us. Because I know that most of you, a lot of you have your own channels. And even if you don't have your channel, you're also very active on social media and you like to post about the cases that we all talk about. So this potentially affects all of us. And not to exclude you, Gelth, but most of us are women. And we're always the biggest targets for every possible way you can be targeted in life. And so I just want you guys to all be safe. And I would love to see the information about this case get spread in a bigger community than it has been able to so far, because it's so important and it talks about the same things that happened in the Lively Wayfarer case. So, oh, you just missed it, Frankie. Oh, you've got to watch the video I play. I don't know, probably 10 minutes in. I have a bad concept of time, so it's toward the beginning, but there's a video that I play. You've got to watch it if you're not able to watch the whole replay. But I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I'm going to try to be back tomorrow to cover one of the filings. I'm going to try to just go through them one by one because I was overwhelmed, like looking at it all together to catch you up in what's happening with this case. Oh, they paid off the liens. Somebody told me that on Instagram today because I had Gelth not touching the fact I'm not a one. But anyway, we won't be offended. We know you're a nice guy. Yeah, I had commented on, someone had posted something about them out on a date. And I was like, I made a comment on the Instagram. I can't remember whose Instagram account it was, but I posted instead of spending money on a date, you should pay your contractors and the workers on your house. And then someone told me in that comment that they've actually paid off the lien. So it's good that we made, see, that's why we're amazing, because we make these things known, these injustices known, and who knows how long they would have let this go on. This lien was filed like in December, and you don't usually jump to a lien. Usually months of non-payment have happened first before a lien can even be filed. And it's already June. So how long were they going to let this happen? But because of us and our desire for justice and making these things known and calling them out for it, these people got paid. And I think that, of course, it's because of us talking about it that it happened. And I love that about us. I love the good that we're able to accomplish. Frankie. Ryan Reynolds' forehead mouth was puckering under the weight of Blake while he was carrying her around. I saw it. I saw the look on his face, and I'm like, Ryan, if you're trying to shame Justin and his bone density again, you're failing, because your face is showing us like how hard it is for you to hold her. And he was supposed to lift her like dead weight from the ground, which is a very, very hard lift to do. Not the same as piggyback rides. So, yeah, they should. Those contractors should thank Katie Joy and all of the CCs. Yeah, because she's the one who broke that story. At least she's where I heard from it first. And then Daily Mail covered it, and then we all covered it. But yeah, they really should thank her for that, because I don't think they were in a hurry to pay for You guys are hilarious. Ryan's used to carrying Hugh Jackman. Exactly. In his arms in the front. So, oh, goodness. All right, guys. So, thank you so much again. I know I've said it a million times. Thanks again, Christina. And well, you guys always make me laugh. I love you guys. Love talking to you. You've been my dopamine fix yet again. So, thank you for that. All right, guys. So, share if you don't care to share the whole story, at least share that video and that article about what these people do, because it is terrifying. Terrifying. And that they targeted 180 journalists. It's insane. And they do this because they like to operate in the dark. They don't like being exposed. They don't like that we bring it to people like you who act on it and call them out and call for justice. And so we are the target. That's the trend right now. And I hate it. It makes our lives unsafe when all we're trying to do is something good. Just like what Mandy's going through. But it's important. It's so important to all of us, I think. So I hope that you guys, I'll try to make it interesting. I know it's not as exciting as the Lively and Wayfair, but to me it's more exciting because the crazy stuff that happened in it is just wow. But anyway, I really got to go. I will see you guys soon.